Hey everyone, happy Friday. Happy Fridays with Fidelman. I'm Cheryl Fidelman. I'm a life coach and a performance artist. And every Friday I put out a topical video. Every first Friday is our free live webinar in regards to my attunement practice that I have developed that has people retrain their nervous system to heal from childhood trauma. So today's topic of Fridays with Fidelman is smoking codependence. I am a recovering codependent. I'm also a recovering tobacco addict. And I am fascinated with the art of relationship. So my first solo show was about 5 years ago, and it was called Ride, A Life with Tobacco. And I played 4 different characters who all discussed their relationship to tobacco. And for me, the development of that show was like a research project, researching the relationship between human and tobacco. And for that show and for the purposes of this video, I think tobacco can be replaced with a person. It can be replaced with a job, a coworker, a family member, another substance, but I'm going to call it tobacco for this video. And for me, that was a huge relationship that I have had to, or wanted to really, really dissect and look at every single angle of the stronghold of that relationship. And I'm going to read you actually a section of that show towards the end of this video. And I feel that the relationship between human and tobacco, specifically smoking tobacco, the relationship between human and tobacco has a lot of similarities to the relationship between in a human to human codependent relationship or a codependent stronghold relationship. There's a lot of similarities. I'm going to go over some of those. So as I've said before, I sort of in previous videos and in my work that I have whittled codependence down to 3 categories, which is wanting to be wanted, needing to be needed, and having to prove something, usually one's self-worth. So because I am fascinated and totally geek out on the art of relationship, I looked at how am I relating to this substance? What do I think tobacco is providing for me? As a recovering nicotine addict, and I say recovering because I'm not smoking now, but on some level, it's like the desire is always going to be there because it represents a certain kind of escape. And in the not smoking, I have to satisfy that desire for escape in other ways. And when I say escape, it's like I needing the tobacco to provide an escape from certain sensations and emotions so that I can think clearly. Oftentimes it was like tobacco provides me with a grounding, a relaxation, so that I can think clearly. That was a big part of my experience with tobacco. Now, without tobacco, I actually have to feel all of the feelings that I feel, all of the sensations in my body, and also think clearly. And that is the basis for my attunement practice and my attunement program, which is aligning the mind, the thoughts with the body and the feelings and the sensations. And for me, I use tobacco to help me do that, to help me feel like I had some sort of alignment, feel like I had some sort of comfort, some sort of coziness. It felt like it helped me with my social anxiety because I felt like I was connected to something. I felt like when I was with people, and the connection with the person threw me off or gave me some sort of anxiety or triggered something inside of me, which it did for a long time. I had a lot of social anxiety. Excuse me. The tobacco would make me feel like I am connected. I'm connected to something. There's something taking care of me in this moment. And it also would help me with my eye contact, because for a long time, I couldn't look at people in the eyes. I had to look either above their eye or below their eye. And so the cigarette gave me a reason to actually not have to look at the person, because I would have to look away to exhale or take a drag of the cigarette. So it helped me like look away. It also gave me the illusion that I was fulfilled, that this void inside of me was fulfilled, that my inner life, my inner world was actually being touched by something when I inhaled. And so it gave me this feeling, the illusion that I'm not alone. Or it gave me some comfort with being alone, because I have company now with this cigarette. And the reality is that we're all alone, and we can have beautiful, connected relationships where we're building and developing and creating with people, even living with people, or sleeping with somebody in the same bed every single night. And ultimately, we're still alone. And the cigarette had me feel like I was developing a relationship with self. And it had me feel like that me and this connection are actually getting somewhere. Me and the connection with this inanimate object are actually getting somewhere. We're actually healing. We're actually moving. We're having fun. And that also, I think, shares something with the codependent relationship. In the codependent relationship, there's fun. There's good times. There's good sex. And these connected, familiar, fun, deep experiences had me completely ignore all of the things that were eating away at my feeling of safety, protection, of being loved and validated. And so with smoking, these things that occur as enjoyable completely put me in a state of ignoring the underlying fact that it's taking years off my life and killing me and eating away and decaying my organs inside. So these similarities, the fun and the beauty, which keeps you in this sort of like hypnotized state of ignoring the real unhealthy parts of the relationship. How much time is it? So, the other thing with cigarettes is I want to speak more about the familiarity. When I would smoke, I would feel like, oh, there I am. Here I am. The posture of my body, the way that I would hold the cigarette, the way it would have me tilt my head, the way I would feel sort of slightly sexy, sensual, and rebellious at the same time. The way I felt like it was a social fun thing to do that I was used to doing as a teenager. It's really regressive. And so it feels familiar, and it feels like home, like a place I should be. And that also is very much like my codependent relationships. This is home, this is familiar, this is a place that I should be. And that is regressive in and of itself, because I grew up, this is home, this is familiar, this is a place I should be, and it was equally unsafe. And so that dynamic I brought into codependent relationships and my relationship with tobacco. I hope I described that well, and I want to, connect those dots well enough. So, and also the familiarity is family. If our family smokes, it becomes part of the culture of who and how we are. And the other piece that I wanted to bring up was that I can be a very spiritual person, and I sit in ceremony to sort of celebrate my connection with spirit and universe and humanity. And so when I would smoke, I would think that it was a ceremonial practice. And it is. The use of tobacco can be a ceremonial practice if used with that intention. And so that was kind of my excuse sometimes, was like, this is a ceremonial practice and that's how it felt. But I would say that maybe like 5% of the time it felt like a ceremonial practice. The rest of the time it was not that sacred. It was not that sacred. It was painful, and it had me doing it over and over and over again. And that is not sacred ceremony. Sacred ceremony is come, sit, relax, feel, connect, and go out into your life and take that connection out into your life. Yeah, I think that's the bulk of it. And now I'm going to read to you some of my the show, A Ride, A Life with Tobacco. And this may explain more, and part of the reason why I'm an artist is because there's things that I can describe in poetry and in words that I might not be able to express in my regular speaking. So before I read this, subscribe to my channel, keep watching Fridays with Fidelman, and come jump into an attunement session with me. We have free sessions going. We also have longer discounted sessions going. And we'll really dive into healing that which feels familiar and comfortable. And underneath it, we know that it's not healthy and safe. Okay. Here we go. I wrote this poem to cigarettes. I call it an ode to cigarettes. As soon as I hold a cigarette in my hand, it's like no time has passed since our last encounter. Hello, my friend. It's so good to be with you, to taste you, to let you in and feel you fill me. With you, I'm no longer lonely inside. I now have company inside. You fill my unfillable void, scratch my unscratchable itch. My soul has a friend for 3 slow dancing minutes. Thank you, tobacco. You're so good to me. You're my longest lover. We go back 20 years. A familiar conversation in a strange situation. Your art, your film noir, your persona, your Betty Davis, Andrew Dice Clay, Dennis Leary, your family. After the divorce, my mom would sit at Dunkin' Donuts all day, 9 to 5, drink coffee, smoke cigarettes, and stare at her hand while rolling the pink Sweet and Low paper between her thumb and her forefinger. She'd blow through 4 packs a day. I remember sitting next to her at the counter and staring at her while eating my Boston cream donut. Boston cream, round, no hole, tan, topped with a tan, shiny, synthetic chocolate glaze, creamy, sugary vanilla inside. Awesome Boston cream. I sat there with a bloated sugar stomach that felt like home. I stared at her, staring at her coffee. We were both hypnotized. I was hypnotized by sugar, and she was by smoking coffee. I was 7 years old, and I imagined that the smoke and coffee were wiping the tears that were pouring down her organs inside her, and I wondered if she knew that I was there. Tobacco, you are brilliant. You slowly kill me and you make me enjoy it. You're killing me and I'm convinced that you're saving me from my colliding thoughts, my lung pain, my boredom, my fatigue, and that tiny little piece of sadness that I can't quite locate in my body that I'm always working to ignore. You're so good to me. Cigarette smoke is pulled into my lungs, forming a thick, dark brown coat that eats away at and hardens my otherwise pink and vital lung flesh. But this part I happily ignore, thinking that my lungs are immune and superior. Tobacco chemicals are immediately absorbed into my bloodstream, then straight to my heart, then off to everywhere else in my body. My heart beats 10 to 25 beats faster per minute. Carbon monoxide is produced. My oxygen level is reduced, resulting in a comfortable, conscious, clear, somewhat religious haze. Instant meditative state. Inhale social awkwardness. Exhale connection. Inhale anxiety. Exhale serenity. I'm not alone here with you, tobacco. It's so good to have full function of my lungs. It's oh man, as a recovering tobacco addict, it's apparent to me to have gratitude for lung function. I love you all. Thank you so much for listening. Like I said, this is by far a PSA about tobacco, but it is my way of dissecting the relationship and what it provided for me and what it took away from me. And I think it's important to dissect your codependent relationships and really look at what it's providing for you and what it's taking away from you. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, sign up for an attunement session. I love you. Have a great weekend and happy healing. Bye. Hey, just clipping in this last thought here that I left out, which is one more thought about a similarity between a codependent narcissistic stronghold relationship and myself, a smoker with the tobacco, a similarity in those two relationships, which is that if we were to humanize the substance, in this case tobacco, give it a personality, I would say, and this may sound like a very abstract thought, that the tobacco is a narcissist. The tobacco is narcissistic. That it has a purpose. That doesn't make it narcissistic, but that purpose and its mission, in order to fulfill on its purpose and its mission, it doesn't mind completely exhausting me in order to do that. And its purpose and mission is to be smoked. And me as a codependent, which is what I would do in my codependent narcissistic relationships, is that I would exhaust myself and set almost everything that was important to me aside in order to help my partner fulfill on their mission and what made them happy. And I don't just mean their overall mission in life, but just, things that they wanted on a daily basis. I was fully in service to what they wanted, way more than when I was in service to what I wanted. And that is similar in the tobacco relationship, where the tobacco's mission is to be smoked, and I'm going to set aside my health. I'm going to set aside my moments, my connections with people. I'm going to set aside the longevity of my life in order to be in service of the tobacco fulfilling on its mission, which is to be smoked. And I know that is pretty abstract, but in dissecting the relationship, I had to look at, I'm so connected and attached to this inanimate object. It's dead. It's dead weight. It's a dead object. But it has me as if it has a personality, as if it has desires, as if it's something, a person that is providing, that is holding the illusion of providing something for me. So it helped me to personalize it. That's it, guys. Just one last thought. All right. Happy healing. Bye.